We're going to find out about one of the best named guests that I've ever had on the Towards Understanding podcast today. Bay Turner is a man who his love of singing is just permeates who he is. He's going to talk to us about that deep, rich purpose of why he sings, what happened when he completely lost the ability to sing, and now how he treasures it even more and credits God with a remarkable miracle in his life. Just before we get to this conversation, do please like, rate, review, share this with others. It helps us get it out to more and more people. Let's have a chat with Bay Turner. G'day, Bay.
Hey man, thank you for having me, Clayton. This is exciting.
Oh, it's so good to have a chat with you. Thank you so much for taking the time. The thing I want to start off with first is I think you and I share something. We certainly don't share any musical ability because I'm like the opposite on any talent for anything to do with music. But we both have a name that's a little unique, but can be spelt really easily. I'm always on the hunt for names like those. Bay, is it short for something? How did it come about? Tell us the story.
That is just my name. My parents are weird, and I think they just decided that they were gonna name me something weird. Man, I used to hate my name, and then now I've only ever met once in my life another Bay. So I think it's a unique name, and I'm grateful because I'm not no hate to the Matthews and the Johns and the whoever's, but I'm Bay, and there's nobody like me. So, yeah,
it's really cool. You see, there's a lot more Claytons in America, but here in Australia, there's not that many. So it's a bit of a unique one for me as well.
yeah.
Let's talk a bit about your story. Let's start off with your passion for music first of all. As you sort of go back, was this always something that was part of sort of family life? Is this something that you discovered yourself a little later on? Tell us that story.
Yeah, man. Nobody in my family, nobody's musician. So I was always the one that was kind of the weirdo in the corner singing Whitney Houston by myself because nobody got the love for it. I know my dad's side of the family, they're all sportsmen and they hunt and fish, and I love to do all of those things as well, but it was just not my passion like it was for everyone else around me. And so I remember I sort of fell in love with music. My parents got a divorce, and my dad would pick me up from my mom's house and drive me to his house, which was about an hour and a half away. And on those drives, he would play so many random CDs from Luther Vandross to Whitney Houston to Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder. It was these great soul musicians that sort of helped to shape my musical ear, and I just fell in love with that sound and began trying to replicate it. So I think that was really the inception of my love for music, was just listening to the greats with my dad.
Yeah. And I'm led to believe that there was a fair bit of driving that you were doing during that time. So it was a lot of time in the car that you actually were listening.
Yes, yeah, my dad, it was funny. He used to tell me, okay, say I'll try to sing. I remember specifically, I was trying to sing I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston. And I get through the song, and he's like, no, you didn't hit it right on this part, but next week when I come and pick you up, make sure you have it down. So all week I would practice and try to make sure I'm hitting all the high notes, and he said every week I would come back better and better and better. So he likes to claim he was my first voice coach, even though he has no idea what he's talking about.
What I do love about that is that there's these little moments, isn't there, with parenting or whatever, where you go, all right, like something just as simple as that is right. I'm going to get better for next week. That's really cool.
That's right.
Bay, let's talk a little bit more. So here you are, you start singing, and you're singing in the car. You're like, hey, I'm not I'm pretty good at this. I'm all right at it. How did you actually go from actually I'm all right at this, I think I am, to actually I actually am, and started exploring a little bit more of that? I know that there was various competitions you entered, things like that. You can talk through that, but when was that moment where you started going, actually this is more just than me singing in the car?
I knew that music could have an effect from a young age. I remember in Texas, where I'm from, we have these big cookouts. They're like big times when everybody gets together and barbecues and fries food, and it's very unhealthy, but good vibes. And my dad had a karaoke machine, and I was singing the karaoke machine, and there was maybe 60, 70, 80 people there. And I remember I'm singing, and my back is away from the crowd, and I'm just singing, having fun by myself. And I turn around because it's silent all of a sudden, and I'm like, what is going on? And my dad comes up to me. He's like, tears in his eyes. He has no idea that I was able to like really sing that way. And I think that was my first time knowing, okay, what I'm doing is maybe different than the average person. But man, it really wasn't until I'd say probably college age that I realized like this is something that I could maybe actually do. It was something I've always loved. It was a part of me, like an organ, like a kidney or a liver or something. Music was just part of me, and yeah, that was kind of my first start knowing it could have an effect, but really walking it out was
Yeah.
a lot later down the road.
Yeah, nice. Let's
Yeah,
get back a bit more to the musical journey and the path that took you now to where you are in a couple of seconds' time. I'd
yeah.
like to go and talk a bit about the faith journey. Also, where did sort of walking in this relationship with Jesus start,
Mhm.
and how did that become a part of your life?
Yeah, I grew up in Texas. Everybody's a Christian. Culturally, everybody's a Christian. So I think I grew up, knowing all the songs. I knew all the verses. I went to all the, we have these things, vacation Bible school. So everybody in the summertime, we spend time at the church, and I was very heavily involved in the church, but I really didn't have a relationship with Jesus. It was just sort of something that I did culturally. And I go through my life, my middle school, high school, college age, and I really did not have a real true walk with Jesus. And I remember I'd started singing, going to school for opera, and I was traveling around doing the thing. I'm back in New York, and I'm like, man, like, Lord, I've sang about you my whole life. I've read scriptures about you my whole life, but I don't really know you. And I'm feeling sort of lost. And so I was walking around Brooklyn, where my apartment was, and I heard, Lord, I will lift mine eyes to the hills. It's this old church song, and I followed the sound, and I ended up at this big church called the Brooklyn Tabernacles, 400-person choir. And that's when I realized, okay, Lord, you are real. You show up in a real tangible way, and I would like you to be a part of my life in a different way. So that was kind of the start.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I love that it was music that was drawing you in too, right? That's
I
really good.
know. Just
Could I
so yeah.
Can I just push on it a little bit more in that space where you
Please.
said, you sort of like here you followed the beautiful singing, and you were like, well, I actually want you to be more part of my life. How does that like? I mean, there feels like there's a little bit more steps that actually happened than it was just great music and then that was it.
Yeah.
Were you understanding what that meant? I suppose, and you went, all right, like I really get. I need to something needs to change in me or whatever else. Like, what was the actual process, or was it as simple as, well, there's just this unbelievable music, there's this beauty that was just beyond me, and that was the thing that I connected to.
I knew that I had a home base at that church, and I knew that I needed to explore what that meant for me. Instead of what my family tells me is right or what TV shows tells me is correct, I had to go and explore it and figure it out for myself. So I remember I got a job working as an assistant at this law office, and it happened to be a couple blocks down from the church. And so every Tuesday, right after I got off of work at 4, I'd go straight to the church, and there was, I think, a couple of hours, maybe 2 hours before the service would start, and they had, organ playing and some music, and people would slowly trickle in. But that was where I really began to just like speak to my creator. Okay, Lord, I don't really feel you here, so can you please show yourself in this way? Or I've always wanted to sing at this place. Or Lord, I really would like a wife, and I want kids one day. Like, can you help me in that direction? And I just began to have this dialogue with my creator. And that was the start of sort of breaking down the walls of what I'd learned growing up, and also the start of sort of figuring him out for myself,
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. I'm led to believe that you ended up actually, I'm not sure, was it working at the tabernacle as well? Like that was part of the role beyond.
I started leading worship with them a couple months later.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that
Yeah.
was the start. Yeah.
So cool. Let's also talk about, from a very public perspective, heading on to America's Got Talent. It certainly does
Yeah.
that. It's an enormous show. Talk to us about the decision to say, all right, well, we're going to get to this point where that's where something I'm going to do and I'm going to step into. And I'd
Yeah.
imagine that artists have this sort of question that they have to make, like, do I step into some sort of reality show, versus sort of a traditional path? Do I do both? How does this work now?
Yeah.
Take us through your thought process.
So 2019, actually, when I was living in New York, I auditioned just for fun, and I went on as an opera singer. And they said, okay, we really like you. We like your personality, your vibe. why don't you come and sing for us as like a Josh Groban type? And I'm like, sure, let's do it. And I never heard from them again. Never got to audition for the show. Nothing ever happened. And then I got a call at the end of 2021, and the producer said, we remember you from New York City. Would you still be willing to come to sing? I said, of course. They said, well, if you're going to come on the show, you'll get a call from us in January. And I'm like, great. January rolls by, February rolls by, March rolls by, April, I get a call. Hey, Bay, we just emailed you tickets. You'll be in LA for 2 weeks. Here's the day that you're auditioning. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, what? So I get on the plane and I go, and I ended up singing a Callum Scott song called Biblical. And it was just so out of the blue. And honestly, I thank God, because I think sometimes we think we're ready and prepared for maybe a dream or desire, but I needed a couple years of refining, I think, before I was able to take a national stage like that. So it was out of the blue, and it wasn't anything I ever anticipated doing. It just sort of happened, which is weird to say.
Yeah. Seems like we need to talk to the producers of America's Got Talent and show them a calendar, how it works. That would be helpful.
Yeah, google.com.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Exactly. Talk to us about the reaction of that, and I suppose what it actually does for somebody who is in the music industry. Like, what did it do for you?
That was sort of my start thinking, okay, maybe I can do this. I think because I'd never seen it done before. There's no formula for how to be a musician. You just have to sort of like trial and error, figure it out. And I thought, okay, people really believed in me. Like there was some team for a national television show that saw me and thought, okay, he's worthy to come on and showcase what he has. And that sort of infused some confidence into me for the very first time. I never thought it was really possible. And I thought, if I'm gonna do this, then I need to do it for the Lord. And so that's why I started in Christian music. I would have probably done polka music if somebody would have said yes, but I think that was just sort of my first pit stop on the musical journey, and that's where I ended up, staying. But it was again, I sort of happened into it. It's very weird. Yeah.
Very cool. My guest here on Towards Understanding is Bay Turner. We're going to be back with him in a couple of minutes' time and hear more of his musical experience. We're going to play a clip of one of his songs and also talk about a trial and a test that he had to really go through, and how did he trust God through that in the midst of it, something that was fundamentally going to challenge his ability to sing as well. That's on the way next here on Towards Understanding.
Share your brand, your event, your message across 90 Christian radio stations and major cities in Australia and New Zealand by sponsoring Towards Understanding, hosted by Clayton and Bay. More than 210,000 people tune into Towards Understanding each week, and with just one sponsorship, you'll reach this immense engaged audience. Find out more about this exciting and unique opportunity now on the sponsorship page at positivemedia.com.au.
But one of the things that is always the case, it seems like anybody who wants to say, I want to follow Jesus with my life, I want to have an impact in this world, make lives of others better, share his love with others, is a testing and a trialing phase that everyone seems to go through. It's something that I think so often tests our faith. Are we going to truly hold true to what we say we are? We're going to actually trust in Jesus even when the times are really tough. For you, that fundamentally actually challenged your ability to sing, which was obviously a huge part of who you are. Could you take us through that journey and tell us a bit about that?
It's funny. I think now in retrospect, I'm so grateful for what I went through. I think I probably pre all of this stuff, I think I just was not I was just not living my life in a way I think that I was proud of. And I think sometimes you have to go through some trials and tribulations to sort of straighten you up, and understand that what you have, whether you're a painter or an athlete or a singer or whatever, is a gift. And this was something that I had to learn sort of the hard way. But I went in for a pretty routine surgery, and I found I had a tumor in my chest. There was no cancer or anything like that, but I had to get the tumor removed. And the anesthesiologist, when removing the tumor, the intubation tube, when they put it into my throat, ripped my vocal cord. So I came out of this surgery with a what I thought was a completely destroyed vocal cord. I went into a voice doctor. There was a couple days of just hoarseness, and I went into a voice doctor, and he said, "You'll never sing again. You'll probably never talk the same again, and you need to find another career. This is it for you." And I was like, okay, well, now my life is over with. I don't know how I'm ever supposed to recoup from this, because it was just very, very traumatic. I think figuring out that you've lost, I think, a part of yourself that you think makes you was really jarring to my heart and my mind. So I went into a couple months of silence and really wrestled with the Lord, because I'm like, why would you give me a gift like this if you're going to just destroy it and rip it away from me like that? But I think what had to happen was the Lord had to do some surgery on my heart and get my soul and my spirit sort of in alignment. And after that work was done, then he performed the miracle on my voice and totally healed me. So that's a sort of buttoned up version of what all the sort of pain and trials and tribulations that I experienced, but it was a crazy story.
Let's ask a few things around that too. I want to hear around that idea when you're in those couple of months or whatever it might be, and you're thinking, okay, maybe this is actually it. And well, hold on, this was my whole life. This is where it is. How did you actually come to, before that miracle, how did you actually come to a place where you could say, all right, I'm going to step forward, whatever happens from here? Because I imagine that it's unbelievably hard, but also necessary.
Yeah, it was my identity, I think, that had to shift, because my identity was, I'm a singer. I've always been the singer in my family. That's how I've always been known in my community and my family. And I think when I came to the understanding that my identity is Christ follower and person that follows Jesus, the rest is sort of a cherry on top of that. So I think when I came to the understanding that I'm worthy just as a son of God, and I don't need to be a singer, or if you're a painter, or if you're an athlete or whatever, those things are cherries on top of the sort of base foundation that you're worthy as a son of God. So when I came, or daughter of God, when I came to that understanding, I think that's when everything began to shift for me. And I said, if I never get to sing again, I'm okay. I had to sort of release it to him. So that was not easy, and I'm thankful I didn't have to give up singing, but I was ready to.
Yeah. And talk to us about the miracle. Like, literally just sort of one night you woke up and it's fine. What happened?
Sort of mentally, yes. So I had just a knowing in my bones that I was going to be okay, that my voice was going to be okay. It was after months of silence. I just had this gut feeling, go back to the doctor and you're going to be healed. So I went in with faith like a mustard seed, and I said, okay, I think I'm okay. I think I've been healed. And I went to another ENT, and that ENT actually requested the documents from my previous doctor, because he said, I cannot see a single scar. There's no issues. There's been a miraculous healing. I've never really seen anything like this before. As if to understand the mechanics of it is really to understand the miracle of what happened. So when the vocal cord rips and then comes back together, there's scar tissue that's developed, and that tissue is immovable. It's fixed in place. So you need, for your vocal cords, when you sing high, they stretch out, and when you sing low, they're sort of, less stretched out. They said that scar tissue, once it fully hardens, will never allow you to stretch your vocal cord again. So you're done. And my vocal cords are more flexible than they were even previous to the incident. So truly a miracle.
Really remarkable. It's interesting. I have a mentor who's now passed on, but he was a famous singer, worked the West End opposite Julie Andrews years ago. Like he is like proper singer and things. Had a similar experience, except for him, the miracle never happened. And so he had an operation that the vocal cords never happened, and had to work through that process, right? Ended up becoming a wonderful pastor working in churches. But it's very interesting, right? Like the same identity crisis. It was almost identical to the way that you had to work it through as well. That we have our own paths that God walks us on. It's not always guaranteed. The fairy tale ending, right? What a blessing.
Yeah.
And we are We are all so thankful that you got that one, which is wonderful. Bay, let's go we're going to play a song now. Somebody's praying. You're wearing a hat that says "Keep Praying." So let's have a listen to that, and then I want to come back and say, tell us why you are so big on making sure and talking about and singing about people praying. So let's have a listen to "Somebody's Praying" from Bay Turner.
Should have been long gone now, yeah. Shouldn't be living. Time after time I chose wrong, not the right. I deserve what I've been getting. You think I learned my lesson? I've been playing with fire, get burned every time. Night after night, oh I tried and I tried, didn't know what I was missing. Somebody's praying, 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 praying for me. Somebody's praying, 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 praying for me. Mama on her knees at night, hoping God will save my life. Preacher looked me in the eye, saying, son, you're gonna be alright. This ain't by flesh and blood. Help me, Lord, help me, Lord. Somebody's praying, 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 praying for me. 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 Oh, my preacher said, Holy Father, up in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Kingdom come, will be done, Lord, won't you help him? Holy Father, up in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Kingdom come, will be done, Lord, won't you help him? Holy Father, up in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Kingdom come, will be done, Lord. Somebody's praying, 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 praying for me. 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 Somebody must be praying.
Somebody Praying from Bay Turner. We are chatting with him on Towards Understanding. Let's talk about that now, Bay. Obviously, you're pretty big on talking about praying and the reasons around that. Talk to us around why you are so passionate about sharing that message with so many.
And my entire life has shifted because of prayer. I know that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for other people's prayers interceding for me. And I really feel like there is sort of a deficit, a lack of prayer in my community, in other people's communities that I'm around. And I think I'm a product of the miracle of prayer, really. I think it's the most amazing thing that we have a creator that will hear from us and then will change things and shift things based off of what we've said. I just think it's really special. So I wanted to write a song that honored that. And, I lost my voice due to a botched surgery and was not able to sing. I thought I'd never be able to sing again. And I know had it not been for prayers, I would have never experienced the miracle of a total recovery. So that's why I had to come on and make a song about it.
Yeah, love that. We know that around both Australia and New Zealand, people listening, we have people who have a strong Christian faith. Others who are saying, "Well, I don't have any faith at all," or I don't mind listening. Could you maybe I'm thinking especially for that second group of people, say, what do you consider prayer? Like, what's your definition, I suppose, of prayer?
I think just honest communication. I think sometimes I learned, especially growing up in the South, in the Bible Belt of the United States, prayer was sort of a routine that people got into. You pray for your meal and you say thank you for the blessings and you ask for a prayer for your finances. But to me, it says in the Bible that you pray without ceasing. And so I can't pray these big religious prayers all day long. I would be exhausted. And so my prayer sometimes is like, God, I'm so tired. Or Lord, I'm lonely today. Will you be with me? Just a dialogue between you and your Creator. And I think when I learned that it wasn't just a one-way conversation, that's when I began to be, I think addicted is the absolute worst word to say, but I think began to be fascinated by the power of prayer.
Yeah, well, I reckon if you're going to be addicted to something, prayer's probably the one thing that's okay to be addicted to.
Yeah.
But talk to us as well about the influence of something like that song, Somebody's Praying. I'm always fascinated, whether we're chatting to an author or a singer, or somebody who's putting something out there about something that's personal for them and they're hoping to reach people, what reactions people have to it. Have you had any great stories of how people have responded to that?
Yes, I think I was encouraged by the scripture before I wrote this song. You overcome by the word of the Lamb and the blood of the Lamb and your word of your testimony. Forgive me. And I think I began to start to write my own story. I think I got so used to maybe writing songs that I thought everybody else would want to hear. But this was Somebody's Praying, along with a lot of other songs on my current project, are all just my story, my testimony. And in that, I began to see the breakthrough. I think there was a little tangent. There's an actress named Chrissy Metz who is on a TV show called This Is Us. It's a large TV show. I don't know if it's in the States or whatever, but I was speaking with her and she said when she began to write into the script her own story, her personal story, the amount of people that would come to stop her in the streets to tell her thank you and to resonate with her doubled. And I thought it was fascinating because I thought if you wrote your story, then maybe less people would resonate, but it's not true. So I say all that to say, writing my story, singing about my testimony, I've had so many people come up. A lot of people, I was actually with a lady who was addicted to drugs and got clean. And this song was sort of her anthem. And it also became her family's anthem because it speaks about, one of the verses says, talks about how a mom is on their knees at night praying and begging God to set this person free and help them. And it also became her family's anthem too, which is, I think, really special. So that's one of many, many stories.
It's great. I love hearing those. Always love hearing the stories. That's the incredible impact. Bay, talk to us, and it's perfectly fine if you're like, no, I don't have any other next ideas. I'm just living in this moment with this album and all of where it is. But love always asking the questions around that. What are the next thoughts and the ideas? Do you have ideas on, hey, I'd like to explore this, I'd like to try that, maybe this theme, that theme, whatever it might be?
Yes, yeah, I'm always writing and thinking and processing. I think I don't know if this will be a next project, but maybe a next song. I've been in the studio writing a lot about like Christians' heartbreak and what that looks like. I was engaged to be married for 2.5 years, and I was with a girl. We were together a total of 6 years, and everything broke off at the top of this year. And I think of course, I'll take when life gives me lemons, I'll turn it into lemonade. So I took a kind of a tough situation and been writing about processing through heartbreak through kind of a Christian lens, which has been very cathartic and healing for me.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we it's always the jokes around Taylor Swift. Every song she's writing is about a breakup song. But there's also something, there's something really raw and honest, like, that's a personal part of your world. That's the part that you very easily could have just said, oh, no, actually, I'm just going to work through that. That's not something I'm going to share. Or even talk about on an interview, So what, how do you make that decision to say, actually, this is the bit that I'm supposed to share? And maybe this bit's the bit that I'm not supposed to.
I think it's very few and far between the times when I don't share. I feel like it's sort of I don't want to say like burden, but I think it's part of the cost of being somebody that's making music that's from the heart and making music that is trying to resonate with other people and help set them free or help walk them through a difficult time. I've got to walk through it myself. And I think, of course, there are some things that, things I keep to myself. But I think if the Lord is going to help me and heal me and bring me through a situation, then I've got to speak about it with others. I will say I don't speak from or sing from an open wound. I wait until things have been sort of like really healed, and maybe the scars developed at that point, proverbially. But that's my thought process, is I'm probably always going to share it as long as I'm not still actively really, really walking through it.
Bay, it's been wonderful having a chat to you. We wish you all the best with this album as well, and all of the opportunities to reach people. We look forward to the next songs coming as well. Thanks so much for having a chat to us on Towards Understanding today.